Marriage is built on love, trust, and compromise. But what happens when those foundations begin to crack? I still remember the first time I saw Rachel. She was radiant, her laughter contagious, filling the air with warmth and joy. I thought I'd won the lottery when she said yes to being my wife. But now, 10 years later, things were different. We weren't the same people back then, and though we still cared for each other, the connection felt strained. It was hard to explain. Our love was still there, but it felt like it was being pulled in too many directions, stretched thin by things we couldn't quite put into words. We didn't argue often, but the silence between us sometimes said more than words ever could. It wasn't a dramatic change, just a slow drift, like two boats that started side by side but were now separated by a widening gap. I wasn't planning to listen in, but as I climbed the stairs, I heard Rachel humming softly from the bedroom. It was a familiar tune, one she always seemed to hum when she was in a good mood. She was getting ready for another Friday night outing with her friends, something that had become her routine for the past few weeks. At first, I tried to brush it off. I told myself it was harmless, that she just needed a little time to relax and enjoy herself. After all, everyone deserves a break now and then, right? But tonight, as I reached the top of the stairs and saw the soft glow of the bedroom light spilling into the hallway, something felt different. It wasn't just the hum of her voice or the faint smell of her perfume lingering in the air. It was a nagging feeling in the pit of my stomach that I couldn't ignore. When I stepped into the bedroom, the first thing I noticed was Rachel standing by the full-length mirror. She held up a bright red dress. It wasn't like the dresses I was used to seeing her wear. This one was bold, shorter than anything she'd worn before. It hugged her figure tightly, with a neckline that dipped just low enough to make me pause. The fabric shimmered slightly as she moved, catching the light and drawing attention. She turned slightly, holding the dress against her body, studying her reflection. When she noticed me standing in the doorway, she smiled, her eyes lighting up in that playful way she used to when we were younger. "What do you think?" she asked, holding the dress up higher as if to give me the full effect. For a moment, I didn't know how to respond. It looked stunning, there was no denying that, but this wasn't the Rachel I was used to. This dress felt like something meant to make a statement, something designed to turn heads. "It looks beautiful," I said slowly, choosing my words carefully. "But it's different. Is this what you're wearing tonight?" "Yeah," she replied with a casual shrug as if it were no big deal. "We're just going to a bar. Nothing crazy." I nodded but couldn't shake the unease settling in my chest. The dress wasn't the problem. It was the shift I'd seen in her over the past few months. The late nights, the new clothes, more daring than what she used to wear, more attention-grabbing. And as the days passed, it seemed like she was more excited about spending time with her friends than with me. I sat down on the edge of the bed, watching her slip into the dress, the fabric hugging her curves. She stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her earrings, her movements graceful. "Rachel," I said carefully, trying to find the right way to bring up what had been bothering me, "can we talk for a minute?" She paused, her back still to me as she checked her reflection one last time. I could feel her hesitation before she turned to face me, frowning. "Now? I'm kind of in a hurry. I'll be late if I don't leave soon," she replied, her voice tinged with impatience. "I know," I said. "But this is important. I need to say something." She sighed and turned to face me, arms crossed. "What is it, Alex? I don't have time for this right now." I hesitated, searching for the right words. "It feels like you're pulling away from me," I said finally. "Like these nights out are more important than what we have here." Her expression hardened. "That's not fair. I just want to have fun. I'm not doing anything wrong." "I'm not saying you are," I said. "But I miss the way things used to be. I miss us. When was the last time we spent a Friday night together?" She rolled her eyes and sighed. "Alex, we've been married for 10 years. We've had a good run. It's completely normal for me to want some space, to go out and have fun with my friends. You're acting like I'm cheating on you or something." Her voice was sharp, frustrated by my concerns. I shook my head. "It's not about cheating, Rachel. It's about the connection we are supposed to have. When you go out dressed like that, so different from what we're used to, with friends who are either single or divorced, it makes me wonder what kind of fun they're going to pull you into. Fun that's okay for them, but not for someone who's married. I don't know what they might encourage you to do, or what you might end up doing. It just doesn't feel right." I let out a deep breath, hoping she would understand the real issue here. Her face flushed with anger, and her voice rose. Why does it matter what my friends do? I'm not like them, Alex. I'm still your wife, and I'm not doing anything wrong. I shouldn't have to explain myself every single time I want to go out with them. She shook her head in disbelief as if I was the one who was being unreasonable. I stood up from the bed, trying to remain calm. Rachel, I'm not trying to control you. I need to know where we stand. I just need to understand if we still want the same things, if you still want us, or if something's changed. The way you dress, the places you're going, and the people you're spending time with, it's not just harmless fun. It makes me feel like you might be looking for something else. Something different than what we have. And I can't just ignore that. It's like you're sending signals that I'm not sure how to read, and it's making me question everything. It's not just the night out. It's everything. She looked away, her jaw tight. You're being ridiculous. It's just a night out. Why are you making this such a big deal? Because it's not just one night, I said, my voice rising. It's every week. And every time you walk out that door, I feel like I'm losing a little more of you. Her eyes flashed with frustration, and she looked at me like she couldn't understand what I was saying. You're acting insecure, Alex, she said sharply. I always come home to you. Isn't that enough? I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words. I shook my head slowly. No, I said softly. It's not enough to just come home. I need to feel like I matter to you. I need to feel like we still matter. She grabbed her purse and put on her heels, avoiding my eyes as she turned away. We'll talk about this tomorrow, she said, walking toward the door. I couldn't let it go. I followed her, my heart racing with hurt. If you walk out that door tonight, Rachel, I said, my voice firm, I don't think there's anything left to talk about. She stopped her hand on the doorknob and looked at me. What's that supposed to mean? She asked, her voice confused. It means I can't keep waiting for you to choose me, I said. I've been patient, but I can't do this anymore. You need to decide what you want. Her face showed a mix of anger and shock. You giving me an ultimatum? No, I said, shaking my head. I'm setting a boundary. There's a difference. She stared at me for a moment, then shook her head. You're being ridiculous, she muttered. I didn't try to stop her as she opened the door. The sound of it closing behind her felt like the end, like something we couldn't fix anymore. I sat on the couch, staring blankly at the wall. The room was quiet, and all I could hear was the sound of my breath. My mind raced from one thought to the next, but none of it made sense. I kept replaying the moments that led up to this, wondering if I could have said something differently or acted in a way that would make her stay. I had hoped, deep down, that she would realize how much this was hurting us, how much it was hurting me. I wanted her to see that what we had, our marriage, our connection, was slipping away and that this wasn't just about one night out. But she didn't see it that way. She chose to leave, and that choice was so clear. She chose her friends over the quiet, steady love that we built together. She chose a night of distractions over the life we had tried to build. And in doing that, she chose them over us. An hour later, after sitting in silence and thinking about everything that had happened, I stood up from the couch and began to pack a small bag. It wasn't much, just a few clothes and some personal items. As I folded my things, I couldn't help but feel a deep sadness. I never imagined that I'd be leaving this life behind, but I knew it was the right thing to do. Once my bag was packed, I walked over to my laptop and opened up my email. I didn't want to do it, but I had to. I typed a message to Rachel's family, explaining that I was leaving. I made sure to be honest, but calm. I didn't want them to think I was doing this out of hate or anger. It wasn't about revenge or getting back at her. It was about me finally understanding that I couldn't stay in a marriage where I felt invisible, like I wasn't truly needed or wanted anymore. I wrote that I wasn't leaving because I didn't love her, but because I loved myself enough to stop accepting less than I deserved. After sending the email, I stood there for a moment, staring at the screen. There was a sense of finality now, something I couldn't take back. I wasn't sure if Rachel would understand, but I knew I had to leave something behind. As I walked past the bedroom, I paused in front of the mirror. I glanced at our wedding photo on the wall, the one where we looked so happy, so in love. I forced myself to write a note on a scrap of paper and tape it to the mirror. The words were simple. I loved you enough to let you go. It was the hardest thing I had ever written. As the taxi pulled away, I glanced back at the house one last time. It hurt more than I thought it would. But sometimes, loving someone means knowing when to let go.